In court this morning in Georgia, the shooting suspect in the Georgia school shooting, the Apalachee High School shooting suspect, the 14-year-old charged with 4 counts of felony murder in this case. And his father faced a judge for his first court appearance as well. He is facing several charges, including 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. And officials say those charges are in connection with the shooting suspect's, his son, possession of the gun. So here to break this down for us and explain some of what is going on is Jose Rivas, criminal defense attorney. And Jose, we appreciate you joining us again this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Yes. Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me here today.
I first want to ask you, Jose, about this. It's interesting to see the 14-year-old, and I'm really just struck by how young that shooting suspect looks, seeing him sitting there in that defendant's chair in court. But these are serious charges. Talk to us through the process of a child facing charges like this and being treated as an adult.
Well, I think this case obviously has national attention, and I think it's going to send out a very clear message that, parents have a responsibility. When there's firearms in the household, they have a responsibility not only for the safety of themselves, their children, but the safety of others. In this case, for example, we have someone who knew that his son was questioned in the past. Perhaps there were some mental health issues. But there's something. There was a little flame there that they knew that there were some threats to commit a shooting in the school. And even knowing that, at that point, he goes out, buys a firearm, and gives them a firearm. And that's what he's charged with, involuntary manslaughter. That's what we call reckless or negligent behavior. You're being reckless when you know that you're placing someone in danger. And based on that, you're giving him, the weapon or the tool to be able to commit a criminal activity. So, involuntary manslaughter, he didn't have the intent to say, hey, here's the firearm, go out, do this. But knowing, or should have known, based on the history, that's where the negligence comes in, and that's where the involuntary manslaughter comes in.
It seems like we are seeing this more, and I could be wrong. It could just be the attention on it, but it seems like we are seeing this more where parents in cases like these are facing charges for with their children who may have committed these terrible acts.
I mean, the Constitution gives us the right to bear arms and so forth. So nobody wants to be home and have to, go through 20 different steps to get a hold of their firearm. But so I think with all these new cases, you'll see a lot of these new charges coming in. You'll understand that there is some level of responsibility. It's just not a blanket right to have a weapon openly. You have children. You have to take other consequences. You have to take other circumstances, into light as well. And then I think also the second part of this case is going to send a very clear message. Just because you're not 18 years old doesn't mean that you cannot, face some very serious, charges and also face, life in prison. So I think that this case is also going to change the view that we're looking at minors. Joe, I'm 18 years old, they can't touch me. No, I mean, specifically in Georgia, if you have a charge of a very, very serious offense, they can charge you as an adult. So now when they charge you as an adult, you're looking at adult penalties. Typically here in Florida, you're charged as a juvenile. They have jurisdictions until you're 19 years old. Now they're like, wow, now I'm looking at life, or life sentence or whatnot, because now they're going to charge you as an adult. So I think that we have, 2 avenues that are going to be changed: parent responsibility and also, children, that commit this kind of crimes that are very serious crimes. This is not like shoplifting, at a local store. This is a crime where it involves, very fatalities. You're going to be looking at very serious charges and, be looking most likely, a long time in prison.
In this case, obviously out of Georgia, but I'm curious, what's the law in Florida when it comes to the responsibility of the parent in a situation like this? Is it similar to that of Georgia's?
It is. With the statute, when the Florida statute says that you if you knew or should have known, or if you have reason to believe that a minor is going to have access to it, then it should be locked up. So in other words, if you have minors in the house running around, and or should know that they're going to have access or they can get access to it, then they should be locked up locked away with a safety lock and so forth. So I think that's very, that's very important when you draw that gray material. And I think all these cases, when you look at all this, individuals are going to be charged, they're going to get publicity. You'll see the law is going to be interpreted a little bit differently, which means you're going to have a lot greater exposure.
Just talk us through the next kind of steps in the process in a high-profile case like this.
Right. Well, the father's going to be charged. He'll go through the judicial process. He's going to get assigned an attorney. They're going to review all the discovery. And then at that point, it gets to a certain level where the state's going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a very high standard, that he acted in a culpable or negligent way. With the child, typically, in the juvenile system, it's typically a little bit different from the adult system. In the juvenile system, the idea is to rehabilitate. So you have a juvenile that's committed a crime, you try to rehabilitate him through treatment, rehab, psychological evaluations, so they don't keep committing the crime. But in this case, versus the adult system is penalty. You're going to get prison. You're going to penalize. We're not going to sit here and rehabilitate you, quote unquote. So there's two different end goals for juvenile system and the adult system. But in this case, now that he's being charged as an adult, he will be sentenced as an adult. Now, we're again same process. What happened? Investigations. We're going to talk to the detective. Who did not follow up. There's going to be mental health evaluations. Obviously, this is someone who made some statements in the past. Law enforcement thought they would need rise to the level that required, additional supervision. So, what happened? So they typically in this type of case, they do a mental health evaluation, the upbringing, and seeing exactly, why did this occur? And then that could be used as mitigation. The simple fact that it occurred by certain points. That's used as mitigation later on in the stage for sentencing. That yes, he did it, but had it not been for this, or yes, he did it because this was his mental state, and so forth.